Good morning. Bill Ulivari here with Matt Margolis, estate planning attorney and elder law attorney with Margolis Weldon. Matt and I met a few weeks ago at an Illinois Continuity of Care event, and so I wanted to invite Matt to do a quick interview because what I found was really interesting when we met for coffee, again, trying to understand everybody's business in the Final Third Network, 55 plus. I find that the conversation of wills and trusts to be something I need like a triple espresso to stay awake for. So I trust people like Matt to do that work because they find that stuff interesting. Just like people don't really particularly care about finance or investing or exchange traded funds, they kind of leave that to me. So we're here with Matt. We're going to do a couple of segments where we're going to talk about power of attorney. We're also going to talk about Medicaid planning, which I think is really important. So Matt, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And so Matt, tell me a little bit about your background. Like, how did you get involved in this business? And you seem to be a really young guy. You got a lot of dark hair compared to some of us older people. But tell me a little bit about yourself and how you got into this space.
Yeah, so Bill, I ultimately fell into this line of work. I've been practicing attorney now for 10 years. I worked on my own for about a year and a half. I think I mentioned that when we met. Out of law school, kind of doing everything, and ultimately was making no money and living at home with my parents.
Doesn't work.
And realized that I needed a real job, so went on Craigslist, honestly, and ended up taking a job at a small elder law and estate planning firm, and thought I would actually hate it. I thought it'd be really boring, because I was going from downtown in court to the suburbs. And honestly, 3 months in, I loved it.
Really?
And,
so you found your first job on Craigslist?
On Craigslist.
It's crazy. Okay.
First job. As an attorney, too. A legal job on Craigslist. Yeah, and, so it's been almost about 9 years now, helping people with estate planning and elder law and really just, it's doing work that ultimately really benefits people, and you really, you can see the difference in the work you do on a daily basis, which is nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. All right, so when we sat down, we met for coffee, we discussed, again, power of attorney, wills and trust, but something that seemed really interesting to me was the Medicaid planning that you do.
Yeah.
And Medicaid is one of these things that seems to be it's always moving, it's always changing. It could even be potentially state-by-state rules that are hard to follow. So tell me a little bit about your expertise, the exciting things or the fun things that you find really interesting in the world of Medicaid planning and how you're helping your clients navigate through this space.
So, in general, first of all, a lot of people get Medicaid and Medicare mixed up, and the big difference is that Medicare is a benefit that the majority of us, not everybody, there's a select few, but the majority of us are going to be able to tap into when we turn 65, and Medicare is great at covering our basic healthcare needs, right? Doctor's visits, hospital visits, things like that. But there's really no long-term care benefit with Medicare, other than Medicare will cover some rehab. So if you have, and this is actually really important, so if you have 3 overnights in a hospital, and you're considered inpatient status, you can't be under observation, and then you get discharged to a nursing home, you can have up to 100 days of rehab where Medicare will cover the first 20 days 100%, the remaining 80 days 80%, and hopefully somebody's got a Medicare supplement that will kick in and help pay for the rest of the other 20%.
And that observation versus being an inpatient is also like a whole nother.
It's huge.
It's a whole nother dynamic where they may keep I think they kept my parents for 5 or 6 days in observation, and I'm like, no, you guys have been admitted.
Right.
Nope, observation. So that's also its own beast. But I think part of the problem is there's the idea that you have to spend down all your assets up until maximum of $2,000
For a single person.
For a single person. There is the creation and documentation of your expenses over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years to make sure that you didn't give away too many of your assets. So there's this whole game, it's a cat and mouse game that's being played between people who are recipients of Medicaid and the government. And so tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so in general, a single person, like Bill just said, a single person can't have more than $2,000 in total assets when applying for Medicaid in a nursing home or a supported living facility. They get to keep $30 a month of their income. That's it. All right. And when we talk about assets and we talk about a $2,000 limit, we're talking about savings, checking, money market,
nothing.
IRAs, 401ks, cash value of life insurance policies, real estate. So really, it's nothing, right? For a married couple, so if I'm going to the nursing home, I've got a spouse at home. My spouse can at least have a little more money, $109,560, income of $2,739 a month. There's a little asterisk there of how that works, but
$2,700 per month income. Okay.
Yep. And a house.
In the house.
Okay. A house and a car. Now there's no value on the house, so I mean, it could be a $200,000 house, it can be an $800,000 house.
Okay.
The car could be a 10-year-old Volkswagen Passat or a new Bentley for $160,000.
Right.
But we'd all probably argue that's not the best bet to go, not the best investment to go buy a Bentley before your husband applies for Medicaid.
I agree.
So, and then there's this 5-year look back, which, you mentioned 3, 4, 5. It's 5 years. It was 3 years at one point. And really what Medicaid's doing is when we apply for Medicaid, whether I'm a single person or a married individual, Medicaid's going to ask me or my spouse and I for 5 years worth of our financials. And really what the state is looking for is they want to see, did we give any money away? Right? And the term they use is, did we make any transfers for less than fair market value? So right off the bat, they're looking to see, did we gift any money, right? Did I write my son a check for $10,000? Did I help my daughter with some legal bills through her divorce? Was I paying for horseback riding lessons for my grandson? Those are all going to be considered gifts.
And how do they want this information presented to them? Is this something where you should be putting it into an Excel spreadsheet, or is it's best to start with your mom and dad in an online QuickBooks account for $200 a year and keep track of all the expenses? Like how?
So really, I mean, when we talk, as far as from a practical standpoint, how this works, because for the most part, nobody plans on applying for Medicaid, right? So we don't normally think like 7 years in advance or 10 years in advance. Oh, I might be applying for Medicaid in 12 years, so I better start keeping track of things. No, so really what we do is when we work with clients and we help them with their Medicaid applications, they literally give us 5 years of their bank statements, and we'll ask them,
right,
is there anything that we should be looking for, right? Were there any big gifts made? Any gifts that you're aware of? Not holidays, not birthdays,
sure,
unless those were extravagant.
But the big stuff.
The big stuff. Did you give a chunk of money away? Did you sell something for far less than what it's worth, right? Did you sell your $20,000 car for $2,000 to your son?
Okay.
And that's what Medicaid would call a transfer for less than fair market value, right?
Okay.
I gave away $18,000, which is the difference between what the car's worth and what I sold it for. So I'm not sure if people need to necessarily put a spreadsheet together in advance. Now, when we're helping them with an application, I mean, yeah, that would be great. If they can give us a spreadsheet and say, listen, I've already gone through the bank statements. On this date is when we made this $10,000 gift, and on this date is when we did this. Most clients won't do that. They'll typically give us a big picture. We made these gifts. We think it was this year, and then we're going to go through their bank accounts, and we're going to flag it.
Okay.
Because we would rather be submitting an application and letting the state know in advance that these gifts were made.
Okay.
There's also some situations where we can do some planning to help protect some of their money,
okay,
while applying for Medicaid, and then we definitely need to know exactly what was given away, because we take all that into consideration in the planning that we do.
And what happens if you're meeting with a client who is less than transparent, and or maybe they just honestly don't remember the $15,000 they gave for a down payment, 5 years ago? And then it's caught, it's flagged after you're on Medicaid. Like, then what happens? What are the penalties and the outcome of that?
So when somebody gives away money, or makes a transfer for less than fair market value, so let's say that this person gave away $15,000, right? Let's make it really easy. Let's say it was $20,000, and the nursing home that they're moving in, or that they're in, is costing $10,000 a month. So we submit the application. The person would actually get approved. But the state would say, you know what, you're approved, but we're going to give you a penalty.
Okay.
And the way that they calculate the penalty is they take the amount that was gifted,
okay,
and they divide it by the monthly cost of care at that place. So $20,000 gift, it's $10,000 a month.
Got it.
We're going to penalize you 2 months. What does that mean? That means that if you that person would have otherwise been eligible for Medicaid to start paying on December 1st, they're going to have to pay out of pocket for December and January, and then Medicaid will kick in February.
Okay.
But if it's a single person, he or she is down to $2,000. So how are they possibly paying for the next 2 months? They're not.
Right, they're not.
So there's a couple different options here in these situations, and this is sort of where people are stuck between a rock and a hard place. Hopefully they've got children or grandchildren that maybe they're the ones that they gave the money to and they can get it back.
Sure.
If they can't, then really they're at the mercy of the nursing home. And really the offer they're going to make is, listen, I get $2,000 a month in Social Security. I can give you that for the next 2 months. I know that it's not the full $10,000, but know that Medicaid will kick in after that. So you're gonna, there's 2 months where you're gonna have to sort of take it, take only $2,000. And the nursing home really can decide if they want that, if they're willing to let that person stay or not.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. Now, in my conversations over the last 18 months with people specifically in retirement communities and memory care facilities and active senior communities, the prices range from $2,500 to $2,900 a month to as much as $7,000 or $8,000 a month. Why would I not, as a person, shoot for the highest, most luxurious place on the North Shore, knowing that Medicaid potentially is going to pay for that? Like, why would I settle for anything less than the very best money that government money can buy when it comes to this? Or does Medicaid say, well, we're only going to give you X? Like, how does that work?
Well, so first of all, it's there's certain places that accept Medicaid and certain places that don't, right?
Okay.
So, obviously there are so within the places that take Medicaid, right? So for purposes of what you just said, we're not even looking at the places that don't take Medicaid.
Got it.
So if we're looking at the places that take Medicaid, now we're kind of making that same determination, and we're saying, okay, well, yeah, we want to move into the best place we can that takes Medicaid. And clients always ask me this question, what's a nice? Can you give me a recommendation for a nice nursing home? And my response always is, it's like putting lipstick. A nice nursing home is like putting lipstick on a pig. And I, just to be blunt, right?
Right.
It's a nursing home. There's no nursing home that anybody's going to walk into, for the most part, where they're going to say, "Wow, this place is really great,
Right.
and it smells amazing."
Yeah, it smells amazing.
So, but there are nicer places.
Okay. Do you provide a list to your clients of, or just off the record?
I will. I won't give them a list necessarily. I might say, listen, in general, these are some places around us that take Medicaid. But, the reality is the people that I meet with and that work into these nursing homes, they're the marketing people. So they're telling me all the nice things.
Right.
They're showing me certain parts of the nursing home that I want to see and not the parts that I don't.
Right.
So really, when it comes to clients looking to find a place, I typically will recommend that they work with a geriatric care manager.
Okay.
Somebody that can really, that knows the ins and outs of a lot of these homes. And listen, it's going to be worth it. I tell my clients, it's worth it if you spend $300, $400, $600, $700 on a consultant, if you will.
An independent evaluation.
Yeah, right. This person has no ties to the facility. These are not people that are getting reimbursed by the facility when they move in. So there is that out-of-pocket cost.
So your upfront payment to them is strictly, that's all the money that they receive for providing a report. Okay.
Right, and they're going to tell you places that are good and places that are bad. And do you want kosher meals? Do you want a Catholic, a place where you can go to a Catholic service, whatever that is.
Interesting.
But I'd much rather my clients spend that money and find the right place. Because I can just give them a list, but again, that's not gonna be what they really need.
Okay, here's a really interesting question. We're running out of time, but maybe we can touch base on the next segment. And that is, you talked about kosher, Catholic, and I'm sure that there is Muslim, halal, or whatever the term is for that. So again, there's always this conversation between separation of church and state. Will the government Medicaid pay for a religious-based nursing home facility? How does that work?
So I can tell you. So I don't know the exact details, but I can tell you that there is. So Covenant Village, which is in Northbrook.
Okay, Covenant Village. I know where that's at. Okay.
It's right around here.
Right.
It's a more Christian-based long-term care community, and they do take Medicaid. They're on the nursing home side. They accept Medicaid. And then there's, just off the top of my head, there's Lieberman in Skokie, which is right by Skokie Hospital.
I've heard about that.
And they provide kosher meals. I believe there are services that take place on premises there. So I don't know the exact rules, but apparently the state is okay with providing funding to nursing homes that have more of a certain religious affiliation.
I think it's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. The original hospitals were all funded by religious organizations, and it was done for free of charge to help the poor. So in this day and age of expensive healthcare and multi-billion-dollar companies, to be able to see that there are some organizations who are providing services to faith-based people is really a good thing.
Yeah.
All right, so we're already about 12 or 13 minutes into the segment, Matt. Why don't you tell the viewers where they can contact you and some of your specialty, and a little bit about yourself in terms of contact information, and then we're going to take a quick break and film the second segment.
Yeah. So again, my name is Matt Margolis. My firm is Margolis Weldon. We're a boutique elder law and estate planning firm in downtown Park Ridge. We help individuals of all ages with their estate planning needs, wills, trusts, powers of attorney, special needs planning, asset protection. We do probate work for when people pass away. And then on the elder law side of our practice, we really have a strong focus on asset protection and helping people apply for Medicaid. We also assist with a particular veterans benefit that can help pay for care and offset some long-term care costs. My phone number is 847-457-3377, extension 2. My email is matt, M-A-T-T, @margolisweldon.com. And be happy to help anybody out there that has any questions with regard to anything that we do.
And your phone number was 847-457-3377, extension 2.
You got it.
Great. All right, well, Matt, thanks for cutting the first segment with us.